Welcome to another episode of In Conversation with Danbro Business. Today we're joined by property developer, interior designer and owner of Nucore Business Solutions and Ginger Interiors, Christine Campbell.
Good morning.
Good morning, thank you for coming in. So I wondered if you could start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your business background.
My name's Christine, as you said. I'm 46 years old. I initially started the first business probably about 14 or 15 years ago, which has led on to other businesses.
Okay.
Great,
okay.
And obviously interiors.
So roughly, why did you sort of start the business initially? What was your kind of general motivation for doing that?
It's something I've always wanted to do.
Wow.
And I was around people, entrepreneurs all the time. It was something that I wanted to do as a young girl. I worked for an airline for a long time, about 12 years, long hours in Manchester. I had 2 babies at home. I was literally home for a couple of hours a night, bed, and straight back up for work the next day. And we'd gone through 3 different rounds of redundancies because the business kept changing over the years and amalgamating into different airlines. And I was just sick of it at this point. I knew my job was relatively safe because I was in the training sector of the airline. But it was just... It was one of those things. I knew I wanted to do it. I could do it. I believed in myself, not too egotistically, but I knew I could do it. And I asked for voluntary redundancy.
Okay, great.
And decided to go for it.
So a lot of people have similar sort of visions that a lot of people have ideas and they want to start their own business, but obviously funding can be an issue. So how did you sort of raise the requisite funds, if you don't mind saying, to start that business and get on the ladder initially?
So I'd asked for redundancy. And then one of my friends, Emma, I owe a lot to her. She was like, Christine, if you don't do this now, you are never, ever going to do it. And her sister had a children's clothes shop in Ireland. So we flew over, spent the weekend with her, briefly looked at how the business runs, the structure of it. I applied for, as I say, the redundancy, and I had to stay on for a further year because I was a key worker to amalgamate both the airlines together. So I had a full year where I was setting up Blue Kangaroo and I was working and I had the finances there.
Right.
So it was great. I didn't have to, I obviously did do a business plan, a 1 year and a 5 year. That was more for myself to see what the structure would be, where I wanted to move the business forward over those years. But I didn't have to go to the bank and ask for any money, which was great. If I funded it myself. I also looked at the worst case scenario, the anything I'd get back, even if it was at just a 50%, could I then afford my next season's stock? We did everything we could do ourselves to save money, renovation of the shop, everything, the website.
Wow, okay.
It was just having a go.
Yeah, definitely. So it sounds like a passion of yours, the interior designs and that kind of thing. How much experience did you have in that industry before starting? And also, in terms of people who might be wanting to start their own business, how important do you think that experience is to going into business?
Yeah, I think you definitely need some experience. Or all the 3 businesses that I've ran, I've obviously run these 2 businesses with my husband now. I think I've been part of the key audience there as a mum, wanting to dress your children in nice clothes, but not clothes that'll break the bank, clothes from all over the world. As obviously we run another business where we renovate our own properties and we sell them, and we'll do the interior architecture for that and the interior design as well. So we work well together. So I love doing my own houses up. My husband does. We love the interior side. The 2 of us are always bouncing ideas off each other. So I'm lucky that I've always been a part of the key audience for my businesses. So I've sort of had, a bit of an idea.
And you've both got those strengths, haven't you? I've seen some of the website, the Instagram pictures and stuff like that. The houses look fantastic.
Thank you.
So it's obviously going quite well now. But when you first started, what was your did you have any apprehensions? What was your biggest fear before sort of going into business?
So the biggest fear for me when I initially started the first business, it was leaving a well-paid job. Leaving a well-paid job where I was climbing up the career ladder. Yeah, it was like, oh God, what if it doesn't work out? But the people that where I worked, and everyone was sort of leaving at the time, all my friends and all. The managers, etc., they were like, Christine, if it doesn't work out, you've got a job. Because I did work hard, and it's like, don't worry. So I always had that to fall back on because I knew I could always go back to the airline industry if I needed to. A lot of it, I found some of the higher end labels and some of the big brands, even now with interiors as well. You have to prove what you can do. You have to show them how you run your business or your branding, because they can be a little bit snobby, and it's just being taken seriously, really. And being a woman too, you do sometimes have to work double as hard to show that you know you mean business. Taken serious.
So in terms of like a business plan initially, then, I mean, imagine you've done your research, you've taken everything into consideration. Did you kind of have a formal business plan that you presented, or did you kind of just wing it?
I've never had really, apart from, as I say, the 1 year and the 5 year. And that was more for me. We take stock all the time. Obviously, we've got the construction business, Nucore Solutions. We've got our own renovation side that we do privately, and we've got the Ginger Interiors, and we always talk about it, whether it's when we're eating dinner, when we're having a coffee of a morning, where we see things going. And a lot of the time, and I said this before laughing, it is on the back of a fag packet. You know, I sat there on the train going to London April, and I wrote down, you know, we've just renovated the house. I know what we're going to sell it for. I know what we'll get back. I want to buy more properties to invest in, and that's something that we will. My husband said the other day, you know, we need a plan, and I went, I've done it. It's in my bag. I was there, you go. What do you think? And he was like, oh yeah, that works. Yeah, it was literally a 4 piece of paper folded over, but that's how we've always worked. And it doesn't work for everyone. And I understand that if, you know, we had a business where we had multiple employees, you know, and we did need to borrow money off the bank, I understand that it'd be very, very different.
I think it's that borrowing the money, that's the big thing. They want to see something concrete, don't they? So do the businesses cross over a lot, Nucore and
Yes, they
and
do.
Ginger?
Ginger's grown organically because people have saw what we've done over the years ourselves personally, and what we do for clients as well. So then they're like, oh, Christine, can you help me out with the interior? So it's just sort of grown from there. And it's still growing now. I mean, Ginger's only small, but it's taken off. And again, I haven't had to do a massive initial outlay for it. We've just had a website put together. We've just had the website made. The lady I'm working with is amazing. She's so inspiring. Come out so motivated from the meetings. So we're looking at the marketing for that now, and also marketing for Nucore as well. It's something that we really need to focus on. But yeah, they do interlock with each other. I'm meeting a client on Friday, and I've just finished doing the living room and a hall interiors. She's getting all the house renovated now, so we're working with our architect. And we will be doing all the renovations, and then I'll be doing the interiors too. So
it's sort of all linked in.
It is.
And you've never gone back to the hostessing? No,
I only done that for 9 months now. I couldn't cope. It's hard work, that.
Good stuff. So how did you go about growing your client base initially? So was there any marketing or sales strategies that you used, and any that proved sort of more successful than the others?
Yeah, so initially, I'm just trying to think when it was. It was 2008, the first business. Instagram wasn't a thing then, really. It was just coming in. So we have Facebook, a website. We used to update the website all the time and try and do the SEOs and stuff. I'm trying to think what else. We had for all the loyal customers, we had a customer scheme where anytime they came in, they got a certain amount of percentage off, discount wise. A lot of charity events, a lot of fashion events. So we managed to get into, we had clients that wrote their own columns because they were famous. So they mentioned us in the UK, they knew. We got into Lancashire Life, double page spread, which was amazing. But MailChimp back then was fantastic. So I'd send something, is the MailChimp the one on the text as well?
Yeah,
so
a lot of businesses use that.
And I'd send something out if I was having a quiet week or quiet month, and I needed to, you know, get me over to break even or whatever. If I was struggling, and they'd come flying in. It really, really worked. MailChimp was worth its weight in gold.
So you can see that cause and effect in sort of real time, really.
It was literally, I'd hit the button, and within half an hour, these women would be coming in, and it was like, great.
Any famous ones that you can share?
A lot, and they were really nice as well. They were lovely, very down to earth. There wasn't anyone. There's a couple of Southerners who weren't that. For all the girls, the local girls, you know, the footballers' wives or whatever. Lovely, lovely girls. Really were just normal mums. I
guess when you get to know them as well, it makes it easy, doesn't it? We spoke before about sort of fears when you entered started your own business. when you've got it off the ground, when you've got it going, how did you sort of, because it's natural, how did you kind of manage your own stress and anxiety whilst the business was growing, and same with how it's going today?
I was a lot younger then. I was 14 years younger, so I didn't really. I cope with stress a lot better back then.
Okay.
As you get older, me personally, I've gotten older, I do find I get a bit stressed and anxious and stuff. A lot of the time, taking the dog for a walk, honestly, just getting out in the fresh air.
Right.
If there's something that I can't answer or I need to speak to my husband about, and I'll go for a quick walk, we'll have a quick conversation, and then you sort of do find
Talk it out.
your answer. Going to the gym if you can, just for half an hour. I'd like to say I switch off at 5 o'clock, but I don't.
Right.
I'm constantly checking my emails. I am, even on holiday, I'll take a little book with me and I'll check my emails, and I'll just write down key things just so I know. And no one, I get called for that, but it just keeps a lid on it for me. And I know, rather than ignoring all my emails and not knowing what I'm coming back to, I like to know.
Yeah, I think that's consistent with a lot of business owners. A lot of business owners, it's not a 9 to 5, is it? It feeds into all your personal time.
You can't be. And people who say, sometimes I get told off for working at 9 o'clock at night, but I'm like, just leave me alone. I'm doing it.
So, I mean, that sort of leads into my next question, which is more about your personal life, if you don't mind answering. So, how big an impact has it had, on positive and negative, on your personal life compared to when you were in employment, say?
I'd say massively positive.
Okay, great.
They outweigh the negatives totally. For me personally, anyway, I can, if I need to, again, take the dog for a walk at 2:30, I can. If I want to be at my desk at 6 o'clock, I can be. If I want to do an hour's work at 9 o'clock, I can.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've been on holiday with friends recently, and they work for companies and they totally switch off, and it's like, I'm like, just checking this, just checking that, and then we'll fly home early in the morning. They give us loads of grief about flying home early because they stay all day, but we have to get home and get focused and get the lads
Reset.
ready, and the staff and the contractors. Where are you? Over the next couple of days, and it's just what you have to do. But I'd rather do that anyway. That's my personality. So I'd say it's mainly positive. Really.
So I suppose if you're a hard worker anyway, if you've got that work ethic, it kind of fits into your home life anyway, doesn't it? It fits into your personal life. You kind of fit it around your work anyway, I suppose.
The negative thing is when me and my husband Michael disagree. That is, and we can literally 6 o'clock in the morning again having a coffee, and there's arguments.
Really?
I'm like, it's ridiculous. And I think it's 6 o'clock in the morning because we both disagree with each other, and we're both quite not fiery, but if we believe in something,
passionate.
If one thinks they're right and the other one does, I'd say that's a negative.
So do you tend to lead more on the interior design side, and Michael leads more on the construction side?
So I tend to do most with the interiors. He comes and helps me, but he does have a lot of good ideas himself.
Okay.
So for the construction side, I liaise with the customers, the QS. I do deal with I do all the health and safety, all the accounts. I just any kind of PR and just keeping in touch with customers constantly. I do deal with the contractors and the staff, but Michael is more on a day-to-day with them.
Right.
So it just depends really, and if he's busy, I'll get into, we just sort of flip-flop.
Pick each other's pick things up that other, if the other person's not perhaps got that a lot on that week and that sort of stuff. Okay, great. Over the last few years, obviously we've had some pretty sizable social economic changes, things like Brexit and COVID and the current cost of living crisis. So a couple of questions on this. So how have you navigated your business through that? And have you got any advice for other entrepreneurs in how best to go through those choppy waters?
Obviously construction side has seen many changes. Some materials have gone up 300%. It's horrific, honestly. And obviously subcontractors' wages have gone through the roof, and we've got to pay them. So it's hard, when you're trying to justify prices to clients, and they're like, how much? But everything is broken down by our QS, and they can see what's what, and they can see steel's costing this much, and we don't put a lot onto our jobs. We don't put a massive percentage on. And I think when they get prices from other builders and the construction companies, that we're not trying it on. It's just the fact that everything's costing so much. So knowing when you need to make changes, really.
Okay.
For someone who's new to new to having their own business, knowing when to implement those changes, how to implement them, taking as much advice as they can from staff, you know, contractors, anyone around them who's willing to give advice,
Yeah.
you know, is taking the time to look out for
Yeah.
you. I just keep in touch all the time. Every day I'm speaking to our QS.
Right.
I'm sending them increases over, because every week there's increases in some.
Really? It's that quick?
Every single
Wow.
week, whether it's doors, windows, steel, wood, plastering. Oh my God, plastering, plasterboard is, don't even talk. It's just
Okay.
horrific. So yeah, just keeping in touch with the right people, the right team, to make sure that your business is, and you can, you know, strategically grow and make the changes.
Yeah.
You know,
Just keep it on top of it.
Just keep, and then if it comes to a point where you can't, just know when to cut your cloth and say, I'm out. You know, so you don't get yourself into financial difficulty, really.
Yeah. So with your line of work and with what you do, are you experiencing issues where something will cost X at the start of a job, and because it's quite a long job, by the end that material's costing more than what it was when you priced it up?
Yeah, if so, for instance, we had a project last year, and we started at April time, a total renovation, lovely client, but we'd agreed to the price the November before, and we'd given them a contract as well. That was on us.
Yeah.
Obviously, so the prices were all agreed there, and there were things that we lost out on,
Yeah.
but it was a great job. They were great clients, and sometimes you just got to take the good with the bad, really, and you've just got to say, okay, well, that's on us, really.
Right.
But I know a lot of people in the construction industry are struggling at the moment, because they do have massive contracts and they've agreed a price, and obviously things are changing so much.
Yeah.
So usually our works, and they're no longer than about 6 months, so we're quite lucky, and we've got really good relationship with our suppliers. You know,
Right, okay.
you're like, how much? Are you joking? I'm not paying that.
Yeah.
And they'll sort it. All right, well, listen, I'll give you this, and I'll give you, so
Chance your arm a little bit.
Yeah, we've got a really good relationship with them all, and we're local as well, so they all know us and everything, even the dog. So yeah.
So the dog's a seller.
Yeah.
I think it's managing relationships, isn't it? Talking about that, I mean, you obviously mentioned Nucore and Ginger. We'll talk quite a lot about how they kind of dovetail. I guess, how do you sort of juggle managing multiple businesses? Because you've had others as well. You spoke about Blue Kangaroo in the past. How do you kind of prioritise one or the other if one's doing well, if one's not doing so well?
It just depends, really. You know, the loudest cod gets the most oil. I always say that. And at the moment, it's Nucore, but I am picking up. I've just got 2 new clients this week for Ginger, which is brilliant. Hopefully an office in London as well, whether that comes off or not.
Wow.
But I do need to focus more time on that, so I do think I might need a bit of help in the office for Nucore, so I can you know, strategically plan what I want to do, for just to give me some time to strategically plan for Ginger and where I see the business, and marketing. I really need to focus on the marketing, but we've just finished renovating, or we're just at the final stages of our own house. So we've just moved, so that teamed with Nucore and Ginger. Honestly, some days, and there'd be 10 subcontractors in the house while I'm trying to work, and the dog would do nothing but bark, and 4 o'clock they'd go, and then I'd finish work myself, and then I'd have to start cleaning, and then the girls are saying, what's for dinner? And I'm like, you know, thinking, I'm going to run away. It's hard, but it slows down. You know that you're going to have times where you've got your peaks, but it's not always going to be like that. Yeah,
and it's just, I suppose it's just taking the rough with the smooth in that sense,
it's just one of those things, really, you know, and I just try and have a joke a lot of the time too, and I just find a good sense of humour. Goes a long helps.
way. Yeah, definitely. So in terms of recruitment, because you mentioned there you might be getting some help for the London office and that sort of stuff. How big of an issue is recruitment for you and your companies, and how are you finding it in the current sort of climate?
At the moment, it's we have struggled, really.
That's across the board, isn't it?
Skilled workers, especially in the construction industry. And obviously, you know, the pay is so high as well right now, and you know, sometimes, you know, there can be lazy people working for you, and they're getting paid a fortune. So Michael's on it all the time. He's making sure they're there, what they're doing for that day, and you know, he knows, because he'll work with them as well. So when he works with them too, so he's not just in the office, he's also hands-on. They work a lot harder. Things get done, and sometimes they'll try it on where, you know, I can't get that done today. And Michael's like, no chance, where you can work late and get it done, and don't take the mick, because we are good to them, but then they're good to us as well. So we've got a good relationship, so we've managed to keep our staff, but there are times when we do need extra help.
Yeah.
And it is quite hard trying to find skilled workers at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone's struggling with
Yeah, I
that.
think professional services like the ones we're in, I think everybody's sort of finding it a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
You know, there's a jobs crisis of another kind at the moment, isn't there? Where there's so many jobs available to people that people are just
Yeah.
moving on a lot quicker.
Yeah.
You mentioned before about, or we spoke before about having a business plan, and I know you said it wasn't perhaps something that you focused too much time on, but you did. You know, you have sort of mentioned about thinking about marketing and how to grow the business. So how much time do you devote to strategy and forward planning? And what's your advice to sort of other entrepreneurs and business leaders about how to do that and also manage the day-to-day and keep things ticking over?
You know, I need to give more time to strategically planning. I do,
Right, okay.
and I've been thinking about that, especially over the last couple of weeks. But life's been that hectic with everything that's going on. Just taking that time out for yourself, just taking yourself off, even if it's just for a coffee in Costa, just to, you know, even switching your phone off and having a conversation with whoever, you know, your business partner or just someone from your family about where you see, you know, where you want the business to go and how you're going to get there, you know, who can help you do that. That is actually something that I need to do over the next couple of weeks. I need to tell everyone to back off because I'm constantly on everyone, you know, can you get this for me? Can you do this? Mum, I want that. Again, the dog bark looking at me. I want to walk. It's like constant, you know. So I do need to. I do need to take time, and I do also think I need to. As I mentioned before, the lady who does the web design, she does all marketing too. So I need to book an appointment in with her and just bounce ideas off her as well.
I think it's hard when you've got a massive long to-do list. Things that are in the future do get put in the future, don't they? It's got to get things ticked off before you can, or you feel like you do anyway. The dog, by the way, sounds like the most troublesome employee that you've got. So, Christine, what would you say is your favourite thing about being an entrepreneur and owning your own business?
Got that word, entrepreneur. It sounds, I think me.
Yeah, but it applies,
really?
Though, absolutely.
The favourite thing is no 2 days are ever the same.
Wow, okay.
Even, you know, when I've got my lists and stuff, things change all the time, and I love that. I really do. And also learning. There's learning every day is a school day.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I think even when I'm like 80, 90, that's if I'm still around, I always want to be learning things. I've actually got a bucket list which is really sad on my phone about when I retire, what I want to do, and I've got all these plans. Right, okay. And that's what I love. I love meeting new people, love being inspired. And again, I mentioned the dog. I love it. If I want to walk the dog at 2:30, I can.
There's no one to tell you can't.
Yeah, I love that. I love that side of it. That's one of the positive sides of it.
It's amazing how many entrepreneurs, how many business leaders don't go back into employment. Once they've sort of gone off on their own, they're quite happy to tread their own path.
Which is a bad thing, really.
Yeah.
Because people have said to me, you could never work for anyone again. I can, but I actually think I couldn't, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think I could, which isn't really good, is it?
Well, I suppose you're controlling your own destiny a little bit, aren't you? And I think you can kind of feel a little bit, but a lot of business leaders say that anyway, that they can feel a little bit restrained when they've been on their own anyway.
Yeah.
You've mentioned there about a few things about sort of looking into the future and as we mentioned, controlling your own destiny. So what's your sort of main motivation now as an entrepreneur moving forward? Is it just sort of keep growing, keep learning, keep developing?
Yeah, I mean, our friends say, you know, oh God, you've done so well, and we never sit back and we always have this discussion and go, didn't we do well?
Yeah.
No, we're not even touching the tip of the iceberg yet. Okay. We're nowhere near, we're not even off the water.
Yeah.
My thing is eventually the construction side, another 10, 15 years, but to go working for just ourselves.
Okay.
So renovating our own properties, flipping houses.
Yeah.
Obviously we've got a buy-to-let side of the business as well.
Okay.
So getting into that more too, and just working for ourselves, and not having to deal with, you know, generally 90% of your customers are great. You get the odd one.
Yeah.
And it's hard work. You know, you think, Jesus Christ.
Loudest cog gets the most oil.
Yeah.
As you said. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like an email comes through and your stomach turns, or the phone goes and you see their number, you're like, oh God. And then no matter what you try, you still can't.
Yeah.
You can't. They just, they don't want to be happy or whatever. They just want to find things. But as I say, 90% of the customers are great. But eventually, that's the plan. To just run like the building side, just for us.
Right, great, okay. So when you get those clients, when you're having one of those days, how do you keep that motivation? Is it literally Michael will pick you up, you'll pick him up? Is it that kind of thing, or is it more internal?
Yeah, so for instance, last night, it was like 10 o'clock at night in bed, and I read this email, and I was like, for God's sake. And he was like, have you seen that? And we were laughing,
Yeah.
and it's like, it was a quote for someone, and it was a really, really competitive quote. But this lady basically wanted it. Like, I don't know what she wanted really. She had no plans drawn, but she was expecting a full bill of quants and this and that. She obviously didn't understand the building process, but we just wished her good luck and said, best of luck with your build. So we do like, we bounce each other off. And when Michael's annoyed over a customer, I'm like, okay, calm down,
Yeah.
and then go and try and see it from his point of view there as well. So, when there's like a couple of little snags left to do on a job, that's the hardest, trying to get the lads back to do it. And everyone knows that. And that's where I step in, because I want to make sure it's done, because we've done a really good job.
You've come so far.
And I don't want to let them down at the last minute. And then if they do, it's psychological, and they'll start looking for other things, because I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's annoyed me, I've paid them, and they've not been back to do something, so I get it. So that's when I make sure that it's done.
If they've missed one thing, what else have they missed?
Yeah, exactly. So I speak to the customers, and I always make sure all the snags done, and give us your list, and I'll cross them off and speak to the lads. And
So what, in your view, are the top 3 attributes that each successful business leader has to have, or what are your sort of top 3 attributes you say that have made you a success in business?
I don't even know whether I am a success, really. I'm just having a go. I think there's tons, but I think for me, I'd like to say being decisive, which I'm not always decisive. Again, I have to take myself off, and then I'll come to the conclusion that I need to come to. Taking risks, again, I only take low or medium risk. I'd never take crazy high risks, especially with finances. When you've got a family, you can't. Being confident in what you do, because then customers believe that you can. You can present them with what you're saying. The final, job will be done. This is how it's going to be, and we are going to do this.
Say what you mean and mean what you say. That kind of thing.
Just when people have got confidence in you, showing conviction. But then I think again, like being a leader as well. My husband's really good with the contractors and the lads and stuff, and he gets involved, and they're constantly ringing him how to do this, how to do that, and half the time he might not have a clue, but he's really good. He'll have a go. And if there's something no one knows what to do manually, he can. He'll just do it. And I think that's great. Having passion. I know you said 3. There's just that many now.
Do as many as you want.
Passion for what you do as well. So for instance, I spoke with the project last year that we did a contract for, and it was a lovely sized house, but it had 8 tiny little rooms. It was like rabbit warrens, and they went from one room to another. Nothing flowed. And the end product, it was just amazing. It really was. The house flowed. It was beautiful. Because it was like an elderly, not elderly, but an older couple, and they had a large kitchen, diner, living room, and they couldn't wait to invite their family around for dinner. That was the first thing they did, was buy a big dining table, and just seeing them so happy, and even walking past the house and seeing all the fire on and the lamps on and all the curtains, and it just looked great. And I just thought, we've helped them do that,
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it is.
I suppose you're turning people's normal homes into their dream homes, really, aren't you? That's the sort of
plan. And just even so we met with our architect last week. There's a family who are buying a house further down the road, and they've been given our number, and they're renovating it all. And the architect said to the potential client, I don't even know why I'm doing you these plans, because these two will change them. And he's right, because sometimes even though architecture and what might work, we know it's not going to work for a house, and say, well, can we just tweak this, or it's going to work better for the family if you have this way.
That's kind of a base to start from, and then you'll kind of lift it from that.
He just rolls his eyes. He's like, see. And then the customer knows that you've got the back as well, and we try and work as if it was our house, what would we do? And if we can save them money, we will. We're always trying to save a client money, because and they appreciate that,
especially at the moment.
Oh God, exactly.
So, obviously, the reason that we're doing these podcasts is that we want to give sort of tangible takeaways from successful business people to others. And one of the questions we wanted to ask was, if you had one piece of advice, I know that's hard to boil it down, but one piece of advice for somebody who is about to start their own business, or somebody who started their own business is just at the sort of beginning of that journey, what would that piece of advice be?
If they were the beginning of the journey, obviously do your homework, research, know your audience, know your target audience. You know, is your product, you know, is it needed? If you can test your business ideas, you know, that'd be great as well. You know, you can just dip your toe in at first, maybe while you're still working, which was great because that's what I initially did. So you know, I'm just learn, just speak to as many people as you can who are in the know, who can help you, because you find that most people want to help you. They really do. So yeah, just give it a go. If it's something that you want to do, what's the, I get all my sayings wrong, by the way. John Lennon.
Well so far.
What was that?
They've done well so far.
Oh no, John Lennon says something about regrets, and you only regret. Oh,
life's what happens when you're making plans.
That's the other one. I love that one. But there's something about regrets, and you only regret the things that you didn't do. So give it a go if you can. Try it, because there's nothing worse than getting to, you know, older age and thinking, I could have done that. I could have done that. Yeah. Definitely.
So the final question, you'll be pleased to know, is one that we ask everybody as well, and it's about success. So how do you define success, both from a personal perspective and in terms of your business or businesses?
Success is being happy. That's the main thing. Even when we were just starting out with businesses and we didn't have a lot of money, we were shopping in my mum's cupboards. We were always happy. We work, and we always knew we were going to be okay. Just having a job or a business that basically enables us to be financially secure and help our family out, you know, look after the kids, having the right balance, really. I know we all try to have a work-life balance, and it doesn't always happen, does it? As I say, sometimes it's crazy, and sometimes you kind of have a bit calm or whatever, but just keeping that in mind. But just having friends and family who love you, really. I just think it all comes down to whether you're happy or not. You could be a multi-millionaire running a fantastic business, but if you're not happy, are you?
So it's keeping check, remembering the things that matter.
As well. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for coming in, Christine.
Thanks for having me.